Hey guys, welcome back. So let's get started on making this wig with the lace closure. So I start off by just drawing on the mannequin head where exactly the side part would be. And as you can see, this mannequin head is too small for the wig cap that I'm using. So I am going to take this dish protection foam paper and I'm just going to tape it all around the mannequin head so that way the wig cap can fit perfectly on top of it. So I cut about 4 pieces and I'm just taping it down onto the mannequin head. I'm just folding the foam down and taping all around the head. I got this foam from Staples and I'm just using package tape.
A wonderful part of the mess that we made, we pick ourselves undone. All of your flaws and all of my flaws, they lie there hand in hand. Ones we've inherited, ones that we learned, they pass from man to man. There's a hole.
So now as you can see, the wig cap fits perfectly on top of the mannequin. So now I am taking my pins and I am pinning the wig cap down to the mannequin head so that way the wig cap is stable and easier for me to sew on top of.
Dig them out. Let's finish what we started. Dig them out. So nothing's left off.
So now I'm just taking the closure and placing it right back on top of the mannequin head, and I'm using my pins to pin it in place on top of the wig cap. So I'm poking through the closure, but the pins are really little, so it's not going to cut a hole in it or anything. So now I'm just realigning the part. I'm creating an L part so that way it looks more natural when the wig is on the head. So now I just clip away the hair and I'm going to start sewing all around the closure. Okay, so I just get my needle and thread and I just sew the closure down onto the wig cap. I'm just sewing all the way around and I'll show you in just a little bit how it looks when I'm all done. So I just loop it through the closure and then through the wig cap and then I tie it in the knot, and this is what it looks like. Okay, so next I'm going to be sewing the wefts down. For the starting wefts, I poke the needle through the end of the weft and I just sew it down on top of the wig cap, but throughout the rest of this process I am going to use the flip over method where I don't cut the wefts. I just flip the weft over when I get to the end and continue sewing it down. And notice that I am not poking the needle through the wefts. I am looping it underneath the weft and creating a knot once it goes through. So I'm getting towards the end and I'm just going to flip it over and continue sewing it down. So this is pretty simple. You just have to sew underneath the weft so that you don't poke a hole through it. And this really helps to keep the wig intact and make sure there's not too much shedding. And you can also seal your wefts before you begin sewing for extra protection on the wefts. So at the ends, I just tie the thread in a knot and then I cut it off and repeat the same process of looping the needle and thread under the weft and making a knot as I go. Okay, so I'm almost halfway now and the process is still the same. I am just looping the needle and thread through the wig cap and underneath the weft so that way I don't poke through the weft. And then I cut it, I tie it in a knot and then cut off the excess thread. So since it's a new bundle, I poke the needle through the end so that way it's secured down, and then I continue the same process as I was doing before to sew the rest of the bundle down. So just keep in mind as you're doing this not to poke the needle through any elastic part of the wig cap because you still want it to be able to stretch when you put it on. Okay, so now as I'm getting closer to the top, I am sewing each bundle closer together so that way it's not too spacey at the top. And this is what it's looking like right now. I'm going to continue adding more of the hair around the closure. And I'm going to show you how I do it so that way the wig is completely sealed. So once again, just make sure you are sewing each bundle closer together once you're reaching the top of the wig. So that way it just looks more full at the top. Okay, so now I'm going to start sewing this bundle right on top of the closure so that way it seals properly. So I take the needle and thread, loop it under the weft and then through the closure, and then I go ahead and knot it and pull the needle out. So you just repeat this process until your closure is fully closed. And this is what it looks like once the last bundle has been sewed around the closure. As you can see, there's no spaces and everything just falls together properly. And this is what the closure looks like. I'm just gonna brush it out so you guys can see. And then I'm just fixing the part back up. Okay, so now I'm just taking 2 leftover pieces from the bundles and I am sewing it to the very bottom of the wig cap. I'm doing this just to create some more volume at the bottom. I noticed that the ends of the wig was looking a little bit straggly, so I added these 2 pieces just to fill it up. And the process is still the same. I'm not sewing through the wefts, I'm just sewing directly under the wefts. And at the end I just keep sewing around the wig cap so that way I can secure the hair that I just placed. So this is what it looks like. And this is how the back looks like now. Okay, so now it's time to cut off the wig cap right underneath the closure. So I'm just going to cut directly around so that way only the closure is exposed. And when you're cutting this, just be careful to not cut the closure itself. So you can just leave a little bit of room as you're cutting. And this is what it looks like. Okay, so now we're going to be sewing down the wig clips. So when you do this, make sure that the clip is open before you sew it down so that way you'll be able to easily put on the wig and close it when you're ready. So I just take the needle and thread and then I sew it down through the holes in the wig clips. And then once I'm done with that, I just sew it around the wig cap to better secure it. Okay, so now I am just pinning down the wig and I'm going to show you how I sew down the elastic band. I'm just using this elastic band that we normally use for like a puff. I'm opting not to use the thicker ones just so it's more comfortable to wear the wig. So I just cut the elastic band and cut a little bit more off so that way it fits snug on the head. So here I'm just taking a straight needle and I am sewing the elastic band down to the sides of the closure. And lastly, I just make a knot with the needle as I am sewing it down so that way it's properly secured. So now this is what it looks like when everything is all sewed down. The elastic band is looking really snug. I'm just going to show you next how you would put this on. So you start off by just putting the elastic band through the back of the head and then pulling the wig forward, and at this point, if it's on your actual head, you can just put the clips in through your hair, and this is what it looks like. And now for styling, I'm just doing really simple pin curls on this wig. So I start off by just curling the ends of the hair, and then I go back and wrap it through the flat iron, and once that's done, I just take my finger and curl it up and then pin it down to the head. And this is the final result. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you in my next video. Bye!